Hello friends, and welcome to Jala Yoga on YouTube. It is me, Krista, and I'm going to be showing you just a really basic breakdown of a couple of postures. This is more of a beginner's style breakdown or a refresher for somebody who has been practicing for a long time. I'm going to be working in what's called the sagittal plane, and the sagittal plane of the body is the plane of movement where we move in to forward flexion and back into extension of the spine. So it's this forward and backward movement of the body is something we do in what's called the sagittal plane. And when we're in that plane, the pelvis is meant to stay in a very sort of steady and neutral position. So I'm going to show you a couple of postures to bring you there in order to find that steady, stable position in your pelvis, in through your shoulders, through your torso, and through the whole of your spine. So, for this, you will want, if you have a block, it's going to be really helpful to take your block, and we're going to put the block on its thin level between our inner thighs, all the way up between the inner thighs. And so this is a really great way, right away, to start to feel a sense of connection down in through the feet, all the way up as I draw this, use my inner thigh muscles to draw upward into the block. I'm starting to engage my inner thigh muscles in a way that starts to engage my pelvic floor muscles. And as that engages, then that begins to allow me to lengthen my lower back so that I start to find this really nice neutral spine position where my tailbone can lengthen naturally downward, my lower back in its own natural curvature, all the way up through the upper back, and then I can express the mid-back by lifting my shoulder blades upward, drawing my shoulder blades into the body, and then softening my front ribs so that doesn't go too far forward. Allow the back of the skull to rise upward and relax my chin just slightly. And so here I am now in a neutral, the first of the neutral positions in what we call Tadasana or mountain pose. And this is a foundational posture. So finding this posture is a really important place to start in a yoga practice. This is the mountain, the steady, still, neutral place of the pelvis, the legs, the spine, the arms, the whole entire body, finding this neutral place so that we can memorize this, get a cellular memory of this position in the body, to take this in through the remainder, many other postures. So now that I have found this cultivation where my feet are really strong, I feel my inner thighs drawing upward, so strong inner thigh lift, strong pelvic floor lift, neutral lower back where I'm not overarching or tucking under, but just finding the length of my tailbone downward toward the block all the way to my heels. And then again, the lift of my shoulder blades upward, front ribs soften to neutralize that, and the back skull long. Now I can take this same position into plank posture, which maybe provides a little more. I'm going to start off first by coming into upward hand pose. This is Urdhva Hastasana. And from here, already, my ribs try to push forward. But instead, I'm going to try to keep that neutral spine, lengthen my tailbone down, and draw the front ribs back in, and allow the shoulders to rise upward into the position. From here, then, I can fold forward into Uttanasana. Again, same posture, same position here, only now I'm in what's called flexion of the spine. So the crown of my head reaches down toward the floor, all the way into this flexion posture, where, again, I have a neutral position in through, or an engagement of my inner thighs that creates a neutral position where my spine can fold naturally downward. Then, from here, with my hands on the mat, I'm going to waddle step back into high plank position. Now, high plank position becomes the same engagement. I pull up through my heels, through my inner thighs, engage engaging my pelvic floor muscles, and then lift up through the low belly to again neutralize my low back so I don't start to collapse there or overarch there, but instead creating a neutral position all the way up through the back of my neck, through the back of the skull, where the chin can lift upward into the body and the head isn't dropping down too low. So all the neutral position that I created into the initial mountain posture, I feel it here now. Then coming all the way down to the belly, you can lower your knees first if you need. Then from here, same idea again, tops of the feet into the earth. I create neutral position in the spine and find a little cobra lift. Beautiful, long inhale. And then from here, back to downward dog. And again, it's the same neutral position of the pelvis, the spine, all the way through the legs here. From the heels of my feet, I'm pulling upward in through the inner thigh muscles, pelvic floor muscles, arms really strong, as if I'm trying to pull my heels away from each other and my hands away from each other. And then I don't want to let the head dip down. Again, I want to keep that neutral position with my ears between my arms. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the block out, come to tabletop position, which is another really neutral place to be. You can kind of give a little flexion and extension of your spine, release some of that work a bit, and then bring your right foot forward. Lift your left knee up into a lunge and then set the left heel down. And start again as you rise up, hands onto your right thigh. Feel the neutral position of your spine that we're creating here in Warrior One. Now, my left hip pulls back a little bit because my feet are wide, or narrow rather. But if I widen my stance back to where it would have been in the standing mountain posture, the distance between my feet, then I can find a more neutral position where my left hip and my right hip start to come side by side. I can draw back on the right hip and up through the low belly. From here then, back down, set left knee down and into tabletop, and feel the same work on the left side. Start with the left foot in the middle of the mat, right heel down. As you rise up, pause for a moment, ground the feet, and then reach your arms up and overhead. Then widen the left foot so it comes over to the left a bit, and feel how that gives you the space to neutralize the pelvis, neutralize the spine. Bring your hands down and step forward, back into a standing mountain posture. For one more pose here, standing, we're going to move into Warrior Three. So the inner left thigh, I'm going to keep the right leg grounded, and I'm going to try to keep the spine, the pelvis, and my whole body neutral. So in order to do that, I don't want to roll the left leg out. I want to keep the left inner thigh moving toward the ceiling. So I'm moving from the left inner thigh is lifting upward, trying to keep the pelvis neutral. Arms can go out in front, creating almost that same position as if I was standing with my arms over my head. Back of the skull really long, still with the eyes downward, back of the skull reaching toward my fingers, and my heel pushes out, just like I'm still standing on it. Then back down we come to do the other side. So from here, start to step the right leg back, and again, inner thigh action. Inner thigh is rolling upward toward the ceiling. Right foot super engaged, low belly super engaged. So I'm pulling up through the pelvic floor, pulling up through the low belly, keeping the front ribs knitted inward. Right heel pushes out and back. Maybe the arms go out in front like I'm standing, and rather than looking up, I keep the back of my skull really long. Neutral position. And then exhale, back to stand, and I might find that I'm standing in exactly the same place, just with two legs on the ground now. And then exhale, fold, step back into down dog. Feel again the neutral place, steady it all out. Come down to your knees, and we'll move into a seated position. So we'll feel that same work in the seated pose now. So from here, arms up and overhead, you can find this in Dandasana, the staff posture, where again I work to find the neutral position, knitting my front ribs in, lifting my upper back up, and then maybe in the forward fold as well. Same positions all around, back of the skull long. From here, I could move into the very final posture of creating neutral release all the way down into Shavasana, where I can finally just let go. And now in Shavasana, in a practice like this, in a really short practice like this, Shavasana maybe becomes an opportunity to feel the way that the body pulls back together into those neutral energies, feeling the spine and the pelvis and all of the parts of the body really aligned there. Thank you for being here to learn a bit about the sagittal plane with me and practice a bit of that work together. I wish you a beautiful day. Namaste.